What's going on, everybody? It's your boy Spencer. Taking a look at Obelisk Monarch specifically. This deck is really interesting, and I've always had this theory that these cards belong, like all the Egyptian gods belong in their own deck. They don't work well together. There's no cards really to support them at all or to bring them together in any sort of fashion. So they kind of have to find their own places to be, because obviously they don't really have their own main deck support. And one thing I've always thought is that Obelisk deserves to be in Monarch because it's a 4K body, which is very respectable, very good. And it also can't be targeted, which is pretty nice. Now, the only problem is it requires 3 tributes, and that has been almost impossible throughout the time of Yu-Gi-Oh! But there's these new cards coming out called Horus that basically bring it all together. And also, it's just it literally basically feels like Obelisk support at this point. So I'm going to quickly go over the deck profile. This is just a raw one. It's probably not, no pun intended, but this is I'll just quickly go over the list is a little bit weird, but it's actually way more consistent than it ever should be. I also do play one of the new cards, and that is I'm sure it's gonna have a different name, but basically you have to send a level 10 from your hand to the graveyard and draw 2 cards. It's not a once per turn, which works really well because this card right here, Obelisk Max, lets you banish it from the graveyard, add an obelisk, and then if you can also tribute summon it at the same time, which is amazing. And there's some really there's so much synergy between these. This deck is so much more consistent than you would ever think it would be, not in terms of making a crazy end board. Most of the time it's domain plus obelisk, and that's the best case scenario, but you can do that way more often than you would ever imagine. Okay, so 2 Obelisks, a Tormentor, 3 of the Immisty. So this is one that discards. Lots of good discards in here. Pantheism being one, Max being one, or if you have extra copies of one of the other monsters, you can do that. It adds a continuous spell and then also draws you a card. So this idea of discarding basically is follow along through the entire deck, that you'll see this card also discards to the graveyard, which you can do some really cool stuff with. Sometimes you can send Obelisk to Tormentor too, right, if you have the trap in the graveyard. Okay, so there's Immisty. It doesn't really matter what the other 2 are. I play Vanguard, and this one's Aegis, so definitely an option there. None of them really do anything too important. They're just bodies to bring out. It is a free 3-card tribute summon by itself, right? If you have the continuous, spell and rotation. 2 copies of Magician Souls. Like I said, I do play the draw too, so you can just get rid of one of the, get rid of these 2 if you want to really play this right now for whatever reason in real life. Play another copy of Magician Souls, or play another copy of Anchimafrofrit, as I like to call it. Something like that. I just like to have the little mix in there, just so I feel like it makes it a little bit more consistent. I talked about Anchimafrofrit, Illusion of Chaos, 3 copies there. Card of the Soul. This is the Obelisk the Tormentor card. So look at your deck. You can add a monster from your deck to your hand whose sum of attack and defense equals your life points. So you have 8,000 life points, 4K. This is basically an Obelisk searcher. Very random, but it does work. Foolish Burial Goods can send Pantheism. Foolish Burial Goods can send, maybe the Prime Monarch, but a lot of the times you want to send Soul Energy Max as a searcher and a free tribute summon for Obelisk. It's actually not bad. You'll see a replay where I use this card. It lets you tribute 2 monsters that you control, which is possible because you have infinite fuel with the Horus cards. Destroys all of your opponent's monsters and then burns your opponent for 4,000, meaning you can attack for game. This is also basically a quick effect. So if you have these 3 monsters on the board, attack, you can banish a trap from the graveyard, add Obelisk, and then normal summon it, and then go for game. You will see that as well. It's a really interesting and cool interaction. 3 copies of Pantheism. I talked about this card. I don't really know what it's going to be called. We'll have to see. Fist of Fate. Unfortunately, there's no real way to get this card. It's good. It, negates monster effects. But to be honest with you, and then I think it destroys all spells and traps. This is an incredible card. There's just no setup for it. Unfortunately, there's no Obelisk support cards. They're just, this is an Obelisk support card, but nothing really to make it searchable or actually usable. But I do play 1 copy just in case you find it. Sometimes I do, and it's cool to see. Like I said, this deck profile is pretty raw, but it works. You can kind of build around it. 3 copies of Soul Crossing. Being able to take your opponent's monsters, of course, is just incredible. I think this is from the Ishizu tool, right? That's kind of cool. This is the continuous spell, Pharaonic Sarcophagus. 3 copies of Domain. A lot of the times with Pantheism, you can discard one and then just search the other version of it. Or you can, like, you know, search two of these and one of these, whatever the case may be. And whatever your opponent picks may be, like, just like a really good way to know what your opponent's playing. But Soul Energy Max is great. You know, this is just discard fodder and tribute fodder if you find it. And then this is the Monarch's Erupt. Okay, so let's go ahead and look at the replays here. Again, this is a very casual duel, obviously. I don't think I need to mention that, but this is against Dark Magician, but it's still, like, kind of wild. So my opponent gets to go first. I do have Soul Crossing, which is kind of cool. He's going to go for Runic Destruction. I think he's going to search Fountain, discarding Dark Magician. So I have no idea what's happening right now. He's going to set 2 and pass. So obviously I'm thinking he doesn't have Runic Fountain, or he doesn't have a Runic Quick Play spell. The last card in hand is Ash, which is fine. I can just, like, keep going here. I can bring this back, and now I can go for the last one, which is Horus. I believe I discarded over the course of this. I did, the trap. So I'm going to go ahead and attack, banish that one from the graveyard. That last card in hand is Soul Servant. Okay, so that's not going to do anything. And I feel pretty confident because he can't target this. So whatever that last card is not really going to, you know, help him very much. Also, if it was the Runic, at this point it would be too late. It's not special summoned, and it's not really an effect that you can, you know, negate. It's untargetable. So that's pretty neat. Like, that's pretty awesome that that's even possible. All right. Again, like, a pretty good opening here. So I do have access to Obelisk. Like I said, when you have extra copies of those, you just discard the other one or discard the other monster. It's pretty nice. And that's I can obviously search Obelisk now. I do have the trap in the graveyard too, but I'll probably save that for next turn, right? And there goes the 3 tributes. Really the only way to make Obelisk, like, playable. It's so funny using a deck that's so good, like Horus, just, like, throwing Obelisk in there. But so many times the domain lock, plus this, like, untargetable monster is enough to just win you the game outright. It's pretty fun. This is against Numerella. I do have the 3 tributes. I think I'm going to use it in this game, which can give you a lot of advantage. If your opponent has 3 monsters, it's great. This card's just, like objectively good. Like, if the Egyptian gods ever got real support to, like, search these cards out or, like, make your plays possible, especially those quick play spells, like, it would be, like, more than playable. Like, Slifer is good as a floodgate against, like, link decks and basically just, like, stopping your opponent from attacking you. So if in, like, you know, the Thunder attack thing is good by destroying all of your opponent's monsters, and then you get to draw cards equal to it. So I'm waiting for the day where that's possible. I top deck, you know, the trap. It does have Ash. That's fine. Pantheism can go ahead and search me the Monarch's Erupt. And I don't think I'm going to use the effect. Or I'm going to just draw 1. I think the trap is already there. And then there we go. Here goes Soul Crossing. Now, this is also very cool. Oh, I didn't have the trap. For some reason, I thought I did. But, oh, I did not mean to do that. But, okay. I guess we're going to switch this one around. This is his point of view. It's, like, kind of terrifying. I think he's going to be able to search. I think he's going to tribute summon, but I don't think it's going to actually do anything. None of these cards are going to have effects, right? And there he goes. Like, I don't think that it gains 100 attack for every face-down card in your extra deck. Okay, well, he just got rid of all of that. And if this card is in your hand, you could target one monster. Oh, you control, I was going to say. I think some of those effects do have targeting, but it doesn't work. Okay, and then here goes the last one here. Again, you can actually, the Horus card can be sent here. That's obviously really, truly incredible. Like, there's some decent forms of synergy here. Here goes Obelisk, and then I think I can search, maybe send this last one. All of these are going to come back, which is pretty nice. And then here we go. Yeah, I'm going to draw 1 card. It ends up being Soul Energy Max. The goal of this card, by the way, to, like, if you control Obelisk, you contribute 2 monsters you control. As if that's, like, an easy condition to fulfill. There needs to be a token deck, and I guess Raviel, like, the Sacred Beast, pretty much is, like, the better version. If Obelisk did have that effect, where if your opponent normal summoned a monster or special summoned, it would make a token. Like, this is, like, kind of good. Or it would be kind of good as, like, a Raigeki, but it is a trap card. It's just so-so. But here we go. Tribute 2 monsters, 4,000 damage, and then I can just go in with Obelisk to Tormentor. So kind of everything, all those interactions I was talking about, you can kind of see there. Let me know what you guys think about this ridiculous deck in the comment section down below. Other than that, that's going to do it for today's video, and I'll see you guys next time.